Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Alan Barry Laboucan. I'm the host of the show and the founder of the Alan Barry Reports. As many of you know, over the years, I've been doing a lot of these outlook for the year ahead type reports. I like to do them because it gives me an opportunity around this part of the year to really look at things from a strategic perspective, look at how the last year went and where I see things going in the year ahead. I use sort of a twofold formula of what I look for. I look at things from a fundamental perspective as well as a technical perspective. So what I'll do during the show is we're going to talk about what I see happening with the stock market, gold, US dollars, a trading strategy that I think will perform well, and then some stock picks. I got about 7 companies to discuss. And as I discuss each of those various different issues, I'll sort of give you my quick synopsis of what I think is happening from a fundamental and technical perspective. And so it's that time of year again. I'm really excited about the show. So we'll get right to it. I'm going to go to a screen share here because I want to show you some charts. Just give me a second with this. The first chart that I'm going to bring up is the chart for the Standard Poor's 500. This chart, as you'll see here. I hope everybody can see my chart. I'm sure that you can. Yes, as you can see here, during 2015, a lot of the year was kind of sideways action. Yes, we had one dip during the year that was pretty significant. Other than that, it was mainly a sideways year. And then coming into the new year, or into late December, saw a little bit of softness there, and then some significant downward pressure. Now, prior to 2015, it had been a pretty strong market for a number of years. You go back to 2011, and it was like this kind of action, if you're following my cursor, leading up to this period, and then this sideways action. Now, I have been negative on stocks in general, big cap stocks in general, mainly because of my concern, excuse me, for earnings and the price that the valuations that companies are getting right now relative to the earnings growth. And with these big cap indicators, that's the truth machine to me. And I want to know where those things are going. And for a long time, they haven't been looking as rosy as the stock market has been performing. And I think that this recent action here is more indicative of what we're going to see going forward for 2016. What I think helped prop up the stock market was a lot of the support from the Fed, and with loose money, low interest rates. They've been trying to prop up the market for a long time, and they've been pretty effective at it, going back since the economic meltdown 2008, 2009. But I finally think that the jig is up, as they say in those old gangster movies. Coming into the new year here now, I think the market is clear that the Fed isn't going to be quick with any life preservers to throw at any QE type programs anytime soon. They keep saying that they want to continue to raise interest rates during 2016. I don't think they need to. I think they will, though. And if they do, I think we're looking at a 20 to 25% down move this year at the lows. It will probably smarten up in the last quarter just for some window dressing, but I think on the downward pressure could take this down. Now, in the short term here, what I'm seeing is this is very concerning. After a big drop like this, go back and look at the last one here that happened in the summertime. What happened the next day? It came back very much stronger, and then continued to rally, pulled back again, continued to rally. This one, after this big steep drop, it has had a punk second day after, and that's not a good sign. I think maybe you get a little bit of recovery, but the downtrend continues this year. to put pressure on big cap stocks. So on the big cap stocks, I'm bearish this year, thinking that we'll see the lows of about a 20 to 25% correction from the highs that we. I'll even take that from the start of the year, this very start here at about 2050 on the S&P 500. I think we're looking at about 20 to 25% down from there on the S&P 500, and a similar corresponding move with the Dow Jones. The next chart that I wanted to bring up here is the US dollar. I think the US dollar has been propped up a lot as well over the last few years. In this case, it was jawboning by the Federal Reserve that they were going to raise interest rates, and it helped the US dollar. Look at this move back here, and still shows up on the chart, this move back in the summertime. I'm going to go back a little bit further so you can see back here in the summer of 2014, the the U.S. dollar index against a basket of the major currencies was trading at about 82. It ran up in a very short period of time over 100. So that's a 25% move in a very short period of time for the U.S. dollar. And then we've had some sideways action. After an explosive move like that, which just purely was a fear trade and an overassessment of what the Federal Reserve was going to do, it's hung in there actually pretty strong since then. But I think now we're coming into a period where it could get a lot weaker. This sort of litmus has been this 94 on the index. It's way above that right now, but we have seen it test that. It breaks below that, and I think we're well back on the way towards that 82.5, 85 range, which I think is a little more realistic. I'm sure that the multinational companies that do business outside of the U.S. that are going to be seeing a lot of pressure when they have to report their earnings from abroad in U.S. dollars. I think that the U.S. dollars days are numbered on the upside. Just look at the last few days of action here. It started out the year, first couple days were pretty good, but then you'll see a couple days of red. It's tried to rally a bit in the last couple days, but I think we're going to see more weakness in the US dollar. And I'm really interested in what happens when it hits this 94 range. I think we're going to see 94 before we see 100 this year. And that's what I'm going with. I think we'll end the year significantly lower on the US dollar than we are now, which brings me to my bullish outlook on the price of gold. And a lot of other currencies or commodities are going to benefit from that as well. Here you've seen, and it sort of corresponds with the moves in the US dollar. I was gaining confidence. I actually had a show somewhere around here of why I thought that that gold had bottomed in the summer and was ready for a rally. We did get a pretty significant rally, but then Draghi came out and mouthed off about quantitative easing or in the Eurozone, and put pressure on the euro, and the US dollar took off and gold got hammered. And but since then, after it got hammered, it's been creating a nice bottom here. In fact, it looks like a saucer. And I think that what we're going to see in the short term here, we've got started off the year in a very bullish trend. As the January effect goes, the January barometer talks about how what happens in the first week of the year is very indicative of what's going to happen in the month. And what happens in the month is usually indicative of what's going to happen in the year. So far, gold is giving us a very bullish indicator for the start of the year. Based on the January barometer and the first 5 days of trading, it's up significantly. I think we're looking at from about 1060 all the way up to, 1100, and a little better than 1100. Now it's given back a few of that, but notice it hasn't given it back aggressively. I think that's really bullish. I'm bullish on gold for the short term. I think that this side of the cup is going to take us back up to close to that 1200 range. I think we could see a little bit of consolidation going sideways there for a bit, and then on for another strong run in the end of the year. So I'm very bullish on gold this year. I think we could see as high as testing that 1,300 to 1,400 range. I know that that sounds pretty aggressive. I'm confident with a 20-25% move kind of action this year by the end of the year from where we started the year. So that's my outlook for some the big cap stocks, the US dollar and gold. The trading strategy that I think will perform well this year is I think that you want to be looking for weakness in gold stocks, buying into those dips, and then selling some into the rallies. I think that if you do that this year, you can increase your positions, make some money along the way. I think what will be the most important to doing that well is to start with a good shopping list. And that's what I wanted to get onto today with some stocks that I think are well positioned to perform well, to perform strongly as gold gets stronger. One of those companies I've covered before, Premier Gold. I covered them back here, I believe it was, I had you and Downey on for a show. Maybe the stock was trading around there, 237, I believe. It's done very well since then. Even you go back to the summertime, and there's the low around $1.69. Had a very nice rally up into the 289. Gave back some of those gains and had then bottomed and has been performing stronger again. What I'm really liking about what I see here is that it's been fighting the trend with gold. When gold has been getting softer, it has not been getting as soft. I really like what I see here on these trend lines. As you can see, it has broken its 30, 50, and 100-day moving averages. I love it when I see these short-term crosses going over the long-term crosses. And we've now got this trading well above those trend lines. I think what you're going to see is those trend lines going up like this into 2016 as gold performs better. I think Premier Gold is an exceptionally good company. They've got high quality projects that I've covered in my past show. In fact, Premier Gold's CEO and president, Ewan Downey, was on the show. He talked about the various different projects. I'd advise you to go back and look at the main page, VallenberryReports.com, for that interview, and you can go into the quality of the various different projects. They've got a really solid basket of from advanced exploration through to current production and permitting as well for new production. Nevada, Ontario is where they're focused. And I really have a strong opinion of Premier Gold going forward. I think it is the perfect kind of company you want to have ready to be selling some into the upticks, but then looking for these pullbacks. These pullbacks are where you can buy back more than you sold, increase your position, or take some profits along the way and increase your chances for profits. The next company that I wanted to talk about today, once my cursor starts working properly, is another company that I haven't covered these guys much on the show in the last couple of years, simply because they've been doing so well since I first covered them. I first started covering Pretium Gold when they had been hammered down due to Strathcona Minerals was one of the two companies doing engineering reports on this company's project, high-grade gold project here in British Columbia. And after that, Strathcona left because they had some concerns about the way the company the way they were doing the studies. But I had confidence. I had seen a lot of the high-grade drill holes. We had seen a lot of those reports come out. Plus, another very highly respected engineering firm stayed on. And they got down to about $3. And subsequently after that, I think they've been as high as $8 or something like that. But this is another company that I think you should put on your list for the buy on the dip kind of mentality when gold is getting pressured, taking some profits ahead of that pressure when it's in a rally mode, and then having powder dry so that you can buy more when it comes back. This is a good company for that. It again is another gold company that bottomed in July, had a good run. then gave back some of those gains. It's not given back all of those gains. I find that very bullish. This is a really good company that's trading underneath its trend lines. I think that in the coming period, you're going to see it break those trend lines and start trading above those trend lines as gold gets stronger. PVG is another company. It's got a great project in British Columbia, hit lots of high grade in an area well known for high grade. I think they've got a future gold mine there. Not only do I think they've got it, but the Chinese think they've got one as well, because they're putting the money into helping build the project and advance the project. So I think we've got a very good situation with Pretium. PVG is their symbol. I like that company a lot as well. Another company that I've covered in my past reports, but not a lot recently, is Dalradian Resources. Originally started covering this company a couple of years ago at around 30 cents a share. Really liked the new high-grade holes they were hitting in their drilling. It ran up to over $1 a share after that. People like Ross Beatty put in a big chunk of cash when it was trading at around $1. Now it's trading at around 73 cents, and nothing has really changed with the company. They still got a really good high-grade gold project. It's in Ireland. I think that there's a lot of smart money in that deal that are in the deal at a higher prices. And then look at this one's action. This one's been pressured down. I think a lot of tax loss selling pressure affected this one to get down to 64 cents. But since the tax loss selling has been over with, they've been able to trade up above their 30, 50, and 100-day moving averages. I think that's really bullish. Now that it's down here testing the 30-day, I think now is a good entry point for Dalradian, especially because it's such a good quality project, and the smart money that went in at higher prices, they're no dummies as well. So you're getting to Bright at about 25% less than smart money's in on that deal. So I like Dalradian a lot. DNA is their symbol. They trade on Toronto. Another one I want to talk about today is Sabina Silver, or Sabina Gold and Silver. I always get those two mixed up. Sorry about that, Sabina folks. SBB is their stock symbol. I recently started coverage on this company when I had Bruce McLeod, who's the president and CEO of the company, come on a show. I think it was back here sometime. And he did a great job telling us about the company. They bottomed out back here. Since then, they came out with their second feasibility study. It looked really great. Then I caught my attention when they put out their sort of, I think it was the feasibility study, and then they also included in an updated feasibility, I think it was, and they included in there results from sampling. So interesting enough, I got invited to their Christmas party this December. And while I was there, I got a chance to talk to Bruce again and look at some maps. And on those maps, he showed me where and why those exploration surface sampling results were so significant that they wanted to include it in a much bigger news release. And what they found there is along a structure that goes on for quite a significant distance. They've been doing some surface sampling and finding really high grade gold. And what's really exciting about it is only about 500 meters from their proposed plant. And so that would help out their economics quite significantly. Now, I've heard management of this company talk about the cost of exploration, and that companies aren't really receiving a lot of benefits from exploration success. In this case, with an advanced project like this company has, if they're able to make a significant discovery of high grade that close to the plant, it would make a significant difference on the economics of their project, the payback and everything. So I think that this is one that could buck that trend. Anyways, I think gold's going higher. So I think we're about to get into a market that pays better for exploration success. But nonetheless, that's the situation with Sabina. Their symbol is SBB. They trade on Toronto. They've come back a little bit. They've had this nice upward trending lines on their moving averages. I like that. Now they're testing this their 50-day, and they came through their 30-day. I don't think they're going to go down and test their 100-day, but right here at this level around their 50-day, I think is a good entry point. I like Sabina a lot. I think they're also one that will benefit from higher gold prices this year, and I think they're one that you want to look for that buy on the dips and sell into the rallies kind of mentality, because I think you'll get a much better kick for your money. Look at gold's moved down, what, $10 since it moved up. Look at 76 down to 63. Well, the corresponding move is even more significant in either direction. So I like Sabina a lot in my strategy. YRI is the next company I want to talk about. Yamana Resources. Now, over the years, I got bang on the desk bullish on Yamana one time before in early 2009, after the global economic crisis happened. Yamana got beat down to around $3. And I thought that that was ridiculously oversold. It subsequently went up to about $20 or something after that. I can't remember exactly. But I'm ready to talk about it again here. I think that it's a great, you got another one here that has a good portfolio of projects. This is a gold mining company, and they took over the Malartic mine in Quebec. They've got other mines. They took over Extori's project. Some of my long-term readers know that we did really well on the pick with Extori. And I think Yamana got a great project there at a really cheap price when the Argentinian government kind of went all wacky on us there a few years ago. But I think that Yamana will be there for the long haul. I like that the trend has been improving as of late. Right now, it's sort of at a convergence point where it's got all these short-term and longer-term moving averages converging, and it's trading right at that. My guess is this is one that'll pop right away here. I'm very confident with this mining company. Gold Corp is a mining company I like a lot because they are focused on keeping their costs of production down. I think Yamana is smaller and falls into that category as well, and that's why I like them. The last company I wanted to talk about as far as a pick, I've got a couple more that I call on my stalking or radar screen that I'm going to talk about after this company. But this is one that is more of an exploration play. These other companies are all quite advanced compared to Wolfden Resources. I've recently started covering Wolfden Resources back here when they made some really good drill results. I've had the president and CEO of the company on when it was down around 6 cents or something like that. It's starting to trade more on the upside. It's broken through those trend lines. This is a very bullish sign for a little junior mining company. Right now, junior mining companies are not doing very well, but Wolfden has an exceptional discovery of high-grade nickel and copper out in Manitoba. And it looks like as they get deeper and get a better understanding, they're finding this high-grade lower zone that really has me excited because it's on the edge of a 500-meter anomaly. With the grades that they're finding at the edge of this anomaly, if it continues and gets bigger, or even stays the same, it doesn't need a lot of volume, a lot of room to make that a lot bigger of a discovery. So I love these high-grade discoveries. I think that the company is really being undervalued for what they have. A buddy of mine recently picked up a couple million shares of the stock. He's got a very big network of investors. He's done very well in the markets over the years. He's asked me to keep his name out of things, but he's a very large investor. He sees what I see, and we're going to be banging the drum to each other and in our circles going forward. I like Wolfden a lot. The next two companies, I call them on my stalking list, or I'm stalking these companies, or high on my radar list. And one of them is Kaminak. Kaminak is a company. Kaminak Gold has a really good project up in the Yukon. As you can see from the chart, it's been doing very well since the summer, very reminiscent of a couple of the companies that I talked about earlier. Recently, they put out their feasibility study. The stock went up on pretty good volume. It's given back some of those gains, but let's not forget that this stock started this summer. It was trading back around 60 cents or so, moved up pretty nicely for investors. It's given back some of those gains. I think it wants to start coming down and trying to trade into this range here where the moving averages are, somewhere around the 82, 83 range, which I think would be a good entry point. Why they're on my radar screen and not one of my buy picks is because the only fatal flaw that I potentially can see for this company is the permitting. They're planning on putting an open pit heap leach operation in the Yukon. And, if you know the long-term history of the Yukon, that in itself is what I think is a pretty considerable undertaking. It has been done before with one other company, but that was in a different area. This Kaminax project is in the area around the Klondike River, and a different set of First Nations to deal with. So I really am trying to get a comfort level on the First Nations and permitting with the company. Recently, after they announced their feasibility study, they had a conference call, and I was on that conference call. Asked Ira Thomas and Allison Armstrong, that does their permitting, a bunch of questions. If you have a chance, you can go on their website and you can find that conference call. And I expressed a lot of my concerns. Ira expressed that she'd love to talk to me, and I put some phone calls in, emails. I'm going to try and get a hold of her to talk more about their efforts. It sounds like they've got a lot of really good efforts going on, but I really want to get a comfort level with that before I sort of pull the trigger and make this a pick. The other company that I'm waiting on a couple things for is Gold Standard Ventures. This company has a lot of ground down in Nevada, and they put together a large land package, and they've been this doesn't seem to be working. They put together a large land package, and they have some ground that's for some reason this chart doesn't want to cooperate with me on Yahoo. I'm sorry about that. I'll have to go off my memory what I think the chart's doing. They have a project down in Nevada, and as I was saying, I'm going to switch back to my other here. I forget how I'm supposed to do this. Stop screen sharing. There you go. Get to see my handsome face again. Sorry about that. They have a project down there that they've been working on, and on one area of the project, they have a resource. On the other area of the project, they've made a new discovery. And that new discovery has really got a lot of attention for their stock. Now, because they were going into the winter season when I knew that they weren't going to be able to do a lot of drilling, I haven't been in a real hurry to recommend this company or to start coverage of the company on my reports. And another reason is that the stock has been continuing to go up when I thought that they might have some softness. Now, just in the last day or two, they've had some softness in their stock. So it's starting to get where I'm getting closer to being able to bring them off of the radar screen and put them onto start researching them. And another thing that has me a little concerned is they had a conference call just after they put out their drilling results. I was on the conference call, and Eric Coffin and Brent Cook were on there as well. They're both a couple of very sharp guys that have been in the business for a long time. And Brent had asked some questions regarding historical holes that had been drilled on the project and had not been released. And they were assured within a couple of days after that the company was going to put those out fairly quickly. There was a couple of reasons why they gave that they hadn't had them out already, but nonetheless, I still haven't seen those holes. And what Brent and Eric Coffin were concerned about was that that these the new drill holes were going in the direction of those historical holes, and they were interested in seeing those holes, as I, because it could cut off the mineralization. Now, there could be reasons why that's happened or hasn't happened or what has happened, but we don't know because I haven't seen those results. Now, if they've been out, somebody hasn't let me know about it, and I know some people that are fairly close to the company, so I'm pretty certain that they haven't put those holes out. So I wanted to talk to the company. I'm trying to get an interview together with the company. I want to talk to them about this. I want to see where those holes line up, how they line up with the new holes on this new discovery. And once I get those questions answered, I think there's a pretty good possibility that this one could jump from my radar screen onto one that I call the shopping list, which was those premier gold, Pretium, PVG, DNA, YRI, SBB, those kind of companies. And I think that it'll go to there. I'm kind of liking that there's a little bit of softness. I'd like to see a little more softness, which would also help me pull the trigger on that one. So those are the companies I wanted to talk about. Those are the strategies that I think, if you have any questions, I'm always really easy to find on email. You can find me at allenberryreports@gmail.com. You can send me an email there. I spend a lot of time these days on Tommy Humphrey's website, chat.ceo.ca. I know that some of my subscribers are on there as well. And I spend a lot of time talking about stocks and markets and trends, and even bits about life stuff as well. So just go to chat.ceo.ca to find that app. I think there's a little bit of there's a little bit of wait for you to get approved, but I'm pretty sure doesn't take too long. And that's a great place to come and post some questions, or if you want to read my observations on a daily basis and my ranting and everything else, that's a good place to find me at chat.ceo.ca. On that note, I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season, and 2016 is a good year ahead for you on a personal level and on an investing level. On that note, you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.